And you're listening to Revolution Rampage. We got a special treat for you guys today. Joining us is future NHL superstar. Hopefully, we'll see. But anyway, Devin Halko of the NC State Wolfpack. Oh. Devin, welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, and for those who don't follow college hockey, shame on you. But if you don't because you don't have time or just NC State isn't your thing, well, again, shame on you. But the Wolfpack are going to the national championships, and we got Devin with us here. It's a very special treat to get to talk to him and tell us a little bit about how long you've been with the state and kind of your journey to hockey there and where you guys are trying to do.
Yeah, so I grew up on the edge of Lake Cary in Morrisville, North Carolina, so only 25 minutes away from where I'm living now in Raleigh.
Homegrown talent, folks. Homegrown talent.
That's right.
Yeah, and actually I think Junior Canes posted a tweet yesterday or a couple of days ago. Like I think at least 75% of our team is from North Carolina or at least the Raleigh area. So that's pretty cool. But I grew up not too far down the road. I was skating around 2 years old, not too long after I was walking. Playing hockey since I was 4 or 5. Grew up playing in the Junior Canes organization, played up until my senior year of high school. Chose not to play my freshman year of college, and then went to a couple of the backyard brawls, the PNC games, which were pretty fun. And I never really got the opportunity to play hockey for my school. So to wear the NC State logo on my chest and play hockey and play the game I love in front of people was something I wanted to take advantage of and something I wanted to do. So tried out sophomore year and I've been here ever since.
That's awesome. And you've had a heck of an experience in the 3 years that you've been here. Your sophomore season, you guys went to your first ACC championship. You won. I was there on the ice with y'all having a fun time. Then you went to regionals. You won regionals for the first time ever, and you went to nationals where in Fresco, Texas, I believe, Fresco, outside of Dallas. You guys had a great showing there. And then same thing, basically the second year, you guys won the ACC, but then fell short to Wake Forest in the regionals. And now this year you're back, tore through your season, had a bunch of great matchups with Liberty, Florida Gulf Coast, won the ACC championship again, 3 times in a row. And now you're back to nationals. That's a lot for just 3 years.
Yeah, I was actually, like I said, I was doing my homework. I was looking back at your guys' account. I did see your posts from those games. It was pretty special. I was looking at us kind of rushing the ice for that ACC tournament. There was a lot more excitement in that one than there was a couple of days ago, obviously. But it was nice for those seniors. But yeah, like you said, couldn't have asked for a better time to come into the ice pack. Our team has grown a lot since then. Thankfully, that year happened when it did, because if it was happening right now in the COVID era, it might have been a little bit different circumstances. So just happy it happened when it did, and convenient timing for me to come in.
Yeah, I mean, first time is special, and now, hey, you've been there. Now this is expected.
Yeah.
You guys are rocking and rolling. Tell us a bit more about how you guys mesh as a team, where coaching comes in, where the camaraderie comes in, and how special is it to have this really well-knitted group of hockey players, and who do you guys kind of strive to be as an identity?
Well, I mean, in terms of the camaraderie in the team, we've had a good core group since I did come in. The leadership we had that season was it was awesome with all the seniors. They brought all the freshmen and the sophomores and any of the rookies in, and they made us feel like a team. And I think we were so successful because you saw how close we were as a group. And I think that's carried over the past few years. The seniors that first year for me set a good example, and something we've brought to this year here. It's easy to get along with each other when you're winning, and we've done that for a long time, so we've never had too many issues. But when we do get on ourselves a little bit, obviously Tim, Alex Rosetto, and Eric Mura step in and help us out a little bit. But I think as an identity for our team, we're fast, We're a lot more experienced. We're a little older now, and I think we expect to win every game. You can't always win every single game like we did sophomore year, but the hope is to win every single time we step on the ice. 2 years ago when we went to nationals, we watched the final game between FGCU and Northeastern, and we were kind of looking at ourselves like we could have never hung with these guys, like no chance. And then fast forward 2 years later, we beat FGCU, the defending national champs, because they didn't have the nationals last year that got canceled. So I think the expectation is us to do pretty big things this year. Like I said, 2 years ago, I don't know if we would have been able to do so, but now we have that confidence, and I think everybody on the team actually thinks we can win a national championship. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
And a lot of things happen with you with the guys, especially because everyone probably watching this or listening that hasn't known NC State hockey a lot don't really know that you guys are doing this out of your own pocket. You're not getting a scholarship. This is a club hockey team, and everything comes out of pocket. Travel, equipment, even ice time. Like, how do you guys deal with that balance?
Yeah, so I handle it a lot with our president, Ian O'Rourke. I'm the vice president of the team. So I was telling Mark Armstrong from ABC the other day, for us being a club sport, it just goes to show like we're doing this because we love hockey. Obviously, I'm sure like guys in the NCAA and professionally, they obviously love hockey too. But for us to be providing for ourselves to do this, it just goes to show how much we love the game and how much we love to compete. And in terms of us having to pay for ourselves, obviously we have team dues. It's a fraction of what my family used to pay for travel hockey with the Junior Canes, which I'm thankful for. But obviously, I'm old enough to make a little bit of a living for myself and pay for that hockey myself. And under different circumstances, I think with fans in the building, it would have been a little bit easier for us to fundraise and get some money this year to fund our season. As you all know, or I'm sure you do know, hockey is a very expensive sport. So for us to be doing this as a collective group and funding all of this by ourselves is no easy feat, but we've been able to stay afloat for the past few years, and I'm thankful for that.
So tell the thousands, hundreds of thousands of listeners who are listening right now, and we love you all, but tell those who want to help, right? Because you guys still, it's even everyone kind of pitching in on the team itself. Outside help is always welcome. It's great to get the support of all the fans in the state, all the even if you're not a straight up NC State fan, but it's always good to get somebody from Carolina to represent in these nationals. Tell them how they can help. Tell them where they can go to monetarily and emotionally support you guys and what you're trying to do.
Yeah, so the website, you can go to icepackhockey.com, and I think right as you get to the website, there will be a little pop-up that says donate now, and there we have different levels for amounts that you can donate to. We have different percentage nights that we're trying to raise money through right now. We had Gumby's yesterday, which I heard you and Zach talking about on the podcast a few years ago. We've got Chipotle on Hillsborough Tuesday night, and a portion of the funds we raise come to the team. And then I think we have one early to mid-April, which is City Barbecue in Cary, or maybe off Kildare, somewhere around there. I forget the location, but you can find it.
It's off Kildare. I love going there. You will see me there because that place is good.
Yeah, I love City Barbecue. That what is it? The cornbread mash, whatever that is. That
yes,
I love that. So
I just ate lunch and now I'm hungry again.
Me too. So yeah, you can donate on the website, or even if you just want to give us a follow, kind of support the team, that'd be awesome. So we appreciate it.
And you guys have some of the best jerseys in college hockey. Tell us a bit, like, is it your favorite jersey to wear? What's your favorite jersey to wear?
Recently, a lot of the guys have liked our white jerseys. That's been the one we've been wearing as of late. We got some name bars on the back, so all of our names are on the above the number there. We haven't had that in the past, so looks pretty crispy. One of our equipment manager, he's a former player for our team, Jess Tart. He works with the Hurricanes, and he works for the NHL, part of their equipment staff stuff. So he'll help in the visitors' locker room. But The Hurricanes were nice enough to donate some Adidas game socks to us. So we've been wearing those with the white jerseys. Those are pretty slick. But like I said, a lot of the guys have liked white recently, but you can't go wrong with the red.
Gotta love the red.
Yeah.
I have one of those myself.
Nice. Thank you.
Equipment sales are nice.
Definitely help as well. But I think I like the red the most. One of the players on our team captain, actually, Eric Todd, he's the one who created that whole entire logo. We had some issues with NC State trademarks and branding. And at the time, we were really upset. Obviously, wanted to make some nice looking jerseys, but it was kind of a blessing in disguise because being able to create our own logo, create a new brand, and then sell those uniforms have helped us out a lot in terms of staying afloat and being able to fund our season. So I don't think you can go wrong with the red. We wore black and white for a while, and then those new jerseys came last year, and they're pretty slick to say the least. Yeah,
they're really slick. It's one of my favorite jerseys in my collection.
So you had mentioned Mike, your coach, earlier.
Mhm.
He was one of the coaches for my daughter's Super 8 team. Tell me about his coaching style and your relationship. What kind of relationship do you guys have with your coaches and the pros of how they teach?
Yeah. So when I had Mike my first 2 years, he was very quiet, very reserved. I don't remember him saying very much to me at all. He may have said one or two sentences to me on the entire 2 seasons I was with him, and one of them was probably, "Hey, probably don't make that pass there. Just like take one extra step, and you'll have that pass open." And then a second one was like, "Hey, we don't need that penalty right now." I think those were like maybe the 2 things he said to me the whole entire season on the bench. But I think it was a good balance between him and Tim. Tim likes to talk. He likes to he runs the show well, but it's just the 2 polar opposites between the 2 of them. I'm sure you've had interaction with the both of them if your daughter plays with the junior team.
Oh yeah. And actually I misspoke. It was Mike. Wait, hold on. Yeah, Tim Healy. Tim Healy was the one. I'm sorry, Tim. I know you listed. I'm sorry, Tim. I messed it up. But it was Mike.
It's gonna take you a while to forgive her, Shane. It's okay.
Well, I think
it was Mike. It was Mike Taft and Tim Healy.
Yeah.
And so I meant to say Mike. I mean, Tim Healy. God, I'm horrible. But is Mike one of yours too?
Mike Gazzillo. He's
Gazzillo. Okay. So I was talking about Tim Healy.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tim. I messed it up.
Going off Mike, he was your coach for 2 years, and then for the longest time with NC State, and then unfortunately, what am I saying? Unfortunately, he retired. He's enjoying his retirement, but he was a great part of the team and a great part of your history with the team. How was that transition going from the coach that's been there for so many years to Tim, who also has been there for many years, but as an assistant?
Yeah.
So yeah, as I meant to say, tell us about Tim.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned that your daughters play together. Does he play with Bridget?
Yes.
Yeah. Or does she play with Bridget?
Played, yeah.
Right.
Words are hard. Go learn that about this.
Yeah,
this
words
podcast.
are hard.
But yeah, I had Tim. He was our D coach for 2 years. So him sliding into the head coach role was kind of a no-brainer for our team. He's a great coach. He's definitely upped. We're a very fast team, and he's definitely upped that pace this year. And he's not only like a great coach, but off the ice in terms of like the fundraising we've been doing recently, like booking hotels, all of the administrative stuff he's been very helpful with. So he works his butt off. I don't know if I can say, yeah, he works his butt off.
I'll have to bleep it. It's okay.
Yeah.
We got to keep it family friendly.
Works his tail off or something, I guess. But yeah, he's always at the rink, whether it's for either of his daughters, for our team, or you name it. So he works.
That man lives at rinks.
He lives for hockey. So yeah, he's an awesome coach, great person, great family. So very happy to be associated with them all.
And he listens, so you have to make sure you say the good things, right?
Yeah.
I remember being at the championship game. He told me, you need to go down there and take a picture of this guy right now.
Oh wow.
Like he knows what he wants, and he knows what he expects out of everyone that's around the team. It helps. It really does, because it makes you have that sense of expectation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he sets a high bar for us, a high standard. So he has a good relationship with everybody on the team, I'd say. He's easy to work with in terms of the administrative stuff, and I think it just goes to show with whether it's him, Mike, or Rosetta behind the bench, and even now Mira, we're a successful team, and we wouldn't be as successful as we would be without them.
And possibly one of the biggest things ever for NC State is the backyard brawl. We mentioned it earlier. The games between NC State and UNC at PNC Arena are probably, I would say, the most anticipated games that you guys look forward to every year. What's it like as a club hockey team to go into PNC Arena, the lower bowls half full of just people going to see a club college hockey game?
See? I told you.
Yeah, words are hard.
I mean, like I said, that's kind of one of the main reasons I was like, man, I kind of want to start playing hockey again. I only took a year off, but it had been such a big part of my life. And to play in front of fans like that is incredible. I have former teammates and like old friends who play like D3 or small Division I schools who tell me like, oh yeah, if it doesn't work out here, I'll come to NC State and play in front of PNC. Because with that, we probably have more fans than they'll ever have in any of their D1 or D3 games. So that's pretty special. I don't take that for granted at all. Undefeated against UNC at PNC, at least for my resume here at NC State. It's never a bad day when you beat UNC. So yeah, I gotta love it.
Wow, you're gonna just piss off all the UNC fans listening right now.
They
just turned off this podcast. Thanks.
Their head coach is a fan of us, and we got to give them a little bit of love. So don't worry, UNC. We'll give you some love too on an episode.
Hey,
Devin, I want you to take a moment and speak about your career. I want you to, especially this season, tell everyone what position you play and give everyone your stats. So strut a little bit. Tell everyone how awesome you are.
My stats are atrocious this year. I mean, I'll use the excuse that we've played a lot better competition this year. I played right defense. I like to think of myself as a stay-at-home defenseman, so I don't usually put too many points on the board. I'll leave that to some of the other guys. But yeah, I'm a right defenseman, stay-at-home defenseman, and I think I only have like 3 assists this year, so it's nothing lovely, but yeah.
Yeah, looking at I got your stats right here. 60 games over your career, 32 points, 6 goals, 26 assists. That's nothing to be.
That's not bad.
That's a point a game defenseman. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad. But yeah, like I said, those.
Look at humble Devin over here. He wants more. He wants more out of himself.
Thankfully, the penalty and minutes are pretty low. They're not too high. I don't have the record like my buddy Cam Mazikowski. Not right now, at least.
Not yet.
That is true. That I'll give you that one. You do have that over Cam.
Yeah.
But one thing that a lot of people are now talking about, especially with the weight competition center now being open, is the possibility of NC State making the jump. Do you see that happening soon?
The only way I see it happening is if somebody on our team wins the lottery and has enough money to put money forward to like have that rink on campus. I think there's a few, like we can't even go D1 club right now. I think there's been conversations in the past, but there's so many different like rules and stipulations about that I'm not sure. But you look at teams recently like Arizona State, Penn State. I think Illinois is supposed to get a D1 team within the next year or two. But it usually takes a pretty hefty donation from boosters or a single donor, which in Penn State's case was the Pagula family. And I think just the rink alone, you'd need 32 to 40 million. Maybe I'm completely wrong on the numbers. I might be, but Arizona State.
Tom Dundon, if you're listening right now.
Come on, Tom.
Yeah. It's time to start to give back to this community a little bit more, right? We got Hurricanes have been doing well for you. Come on, it's time to invest more into hockey here. I know you're listening, Tom. I know.
Yeah, right. Hey, I want to ask you. So I get this question a lot when they find out that I'm not from the North or Canadian. What got you into hockey, being from here?
Yeah, so my dad is from Toronto. He played hockey growing up. He played at University of Michigan, won a national championship there his senior year as the captain. He was actually there when Mike Legg scored that on a lacrosse goal you keep seeing everywhere. So, and then he was drafted by Hartford in sometime between 92 and 96. And then by the time he had signed with Carolina, they were Carolina. They were the Hurricanes. They were no longer in Hartford. And then I was born in 1999. So I can't remember if they had moved to Raleigh by then. Obviously,
it was the first year, October 99.
Yeah, so he was up and down between Carolina and Lowell in Lowell, Massachusetts, the Lock Monsters, before they changed their name and location 4 different times in 2 years. But yeah, it was usually my mom and I traveling back and forth between Massachusetts and North Carolina. And one of the first few times I got to skate was when it was still RBC Center. So yeah, I've had hockey in my blood from a young age. Not typical for, like you said, someone in the South, but that was kind of my influence.
Yeah. Good answer.
It's a journey, and it goes full circle now that your dad played with the Hurricanes organization. You were on the PNC Arena ice at a very early age, and now you get to play on it.
Yeah, it's pretty special. Never would have thought of it when I was younger. Nothing I ever dreamed of. I never really was oh, I want to grow up and play for NC State, but I'm happy with where I ended up. I've had a good 4 years here, and it's coming to an end in a couple of months.
What are you going to do next?
I'm interviewing for jobs right now. I'm a finance and business administration major. So if anybody's got any tips for companies to apply to right now, I'm interviewing for a few. Hopefully those go well. But yeah, just in the job hunt right now.
You heard it here first, folks. Devin Halko, superstar for NC State. He's looking for employment. So let's get him something.
Man, we're going to be turning into one of those job networks. We're the new Indeed.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish.
So thank you so much, Devin. Anything else you want to tell the listeners, especially our younger listeners who are hoping to one day play for NC State, hoping to one day kind of put their name in the world of hockey? What do you got to say to them?
I think maybe I'm a little cliche saying this, but always focus on school, right? That was a big emphasis from a young age for me, from my parents. Both of them were Division I athletes. Obviously, my dad played professional hockey. So as I got older, hockey got better and better, especially here in the South and North Carolina. NC State wasn't on my radar. Club hockey wasn't on my radar. But if you're looking to do that, apply to a school that I wouldn't even say necessarily for hockey. Apply for a school that you want to go to, you feel comfortable at. And if it is NC State, get in contact with Tim. I'm sure he'd love to speak with you. And just keep playing for the love of the game. That's all that matters, is playing it for your love of the game. And if you make it somewhere greater than club hockey or at club hockey, great. Just keep it going, keep playing.
So NC State just added a women's team. Do you guys have a relationship with them?
We helped. Well, I wouldn't say we helped them. I think their president or one of the girls who got their team started is maybe named Emily. I apologize if that's incorrect, but I think I watched them play last year in the ACC tournament against George Washington or Georgetown. And then obviously they had a couple big wins this year against Virginia Tech. And then I think they lost to Virginia Tech in the ACC tournament, but it's great to see. UNC had a girl who played for their team a couple of years ago, Jessie Aney, who's playing college hockey at UConn now for grad school, which is pretty crazy. But it's always nice to see the girls team pop up and see when they've had success recently.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that they did a co-ed kind of thing.
Yeah. UNC, I think she was only there for maybe 1 or 2 years when I was there, when I've been here at least. She played varsity tennis for UNC. I'm being nice to UNC now, you see, though. So shout out.
That's good.
Jeff Volkman is listening. I am complimenting here. Jessie, she was probably one of their best players. She played varsity tennis at UNC, and she played for their club hockey team. And then
That's great.
She went to University of Connecticut for grad school and switched to varsity hockey. So she's had quite a ride. I think she was the Minnesota Women's State Hockey Player of the Year in high school her senior year. So she has quite the resume herself. So she was playing on UNC's team. So yeah, they have some co-ed teams, and then they also have men's and women's teams depending on the school. So for NC State to get that recently has been pretty nice. And hopefully they do it in other schools around the area as well.
Now, let us flip it around a little bit. You have a connection to the team that we're going to be talking about for pretty much the rest of this podcast for a little bit. What do you do for the Hurricanes?
You might be surprised by this. I don't actually watch them that much. The only time I do is when one of my roommates has the games on before practice. I know they had a really big win last night versus Tampa, but I think they've got a lot of great pieces. You have guys who are stepping up to the plate who were struggling last year. Like Vincent Trocheck had a tough time coming after he moved from Florida. Niederreiter had a really good kind of finishing season. I think it was 2 years ago, and then last year struggled a bit. So for those guys to be pulling their end of the rope now is great to see. And even when some guys are struggling or hurt, like Turbo, Jordan Stahl is having a career year. Who would have thought? Brock McGinn had like 20 goals in 2 games a couple weeks ago. So it's really good to see.
Don't remind me, I'm still recovering from the hangover.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk about the Canes in a bit. And I want to save the Canes for last on this episode because there's so much to talk about with them. But let's
Oh, sorry if I misinterpreted.
No, yeah, I think what Zach was trying to ask you is like what your
do?
connection with the Hurricanes organization.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
You're good.
That was a good
I want
rant.
to talk about
liked
the Canes too, so
I
we'll
would-
get there.
I work special events staff in the marketing department with the Hurricanes. So when I talk about it in interviews, I pretty much walk around the PNC Arena concourse during games. If you see all the inflatables and everything outside when the weather's nice, I'm out there. Usually street hockey is my spot. I have a stick in my hands and playing with some of the people out there. But
Sounds like a lot of fun.
yeah,
It gives me flashbacks because when I was a kid, I was one of those kids playing street hockey.
hey, you got to grow the game somehow, right? And especially in a non-traditional hockey market, quote unquote. But yeah, it's good to see. And I helped Shane Willis out in the summers with some of the Hurricanes youth camps, which is fun. And then actually I got to model the white jerseys before they came out, the new white jerseys.
Oh, that was you.
Oh, that was you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was funny to see people like, oh, 19, it's Dougie Hamilton, or like, oh, is that Justin Williams? Like, oh, based on this and this, it looks like it could be this player. And I was like giggling to myself the whole time. I had to like sign a non-disclosure agreement. I was like, no, I'm just a club hockey player. When my friends saw it, they were like, oh, that's so you, just simply based off the stride. I told them I was doing something cool with the Canes. And then the first like sneak peek or commercial came out, and I was like skating down the ice at Raleigh Center Ice where we filmed the commercial there. And my buddies were like, is that what you've been doing with the Hurricanes? You've been doing a little promo shoot for their new jerseys? And I was like, yeah. So that was pretty cool. And then some of my teammates.
You just read on yourself that you broke your non-disclosure agreement?
Well, now I did. The jerseys.
It was before the jerseys came
Yeah,
out.
now please donate, but please do not come after me for this. But yeah, I also, some of my teammates and I got to pose as Hurricanes for it was one of the commercials a couple of years ago. It was my sophomore season. It was just like a quick commercial, and I was Justin Williams for the commercial, so I was like running out on the ice, and my mom knows Mrs. Williams because they play tennis against each other sometimes. So she was like, my son played your husband in a commercial, and it was kind of funny. So yeah, I've had a lot of different
Wait, you're talking about the intro footage from like 2 years ago, where at the end, like you see like Justin Williams kind of like jumping onto the rink. That was actually you.
Yeah, like skating out on the ice, and then like
Yeah.
The amount of coincidences that are in your life is astounding.
That's awesome. Yeah. That is really awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, the real Justin Williams.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of stuff like that has fallen in my lap, whether it's the commercial, they were like, hey, NC State Hockey, you guys want to come out and shoot a commercial? Sure. I was helping out with Shane with the youth camp because I couldn't find a job one summer. I worked 2 weeks there, and then Emil, he was like, hey, do you want to do this commercial? I was like, of course. I get to see the new jerseys before anybody else. I'd love to. And then it turned into a full-time job a part-time job with them in the special events staff. I had a bunch of friends and teammates who did it. My girlfriend does it. So, yeah, I've been doing it for over a year now, but obviously couldn't do much in the past year with the pandemic. So yeah.
So that's awesome.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's kind of pivot a little bit. Devin, you're awesome. You're gonna hang out with us for the rest of this episode, and we're gonna talk our usual talk. We kind of covered a little college hockey already, so let's move on to NWHL. So let's talk about some of the big news coming out of the NWHL, because there's a lot, right? Because not only NWHL but the all women's hockey in general, because the PWHPA. Did I get it right?
Yes, you did.
Yes.
Acronyms are
PWHPA,
hard.
right? Now, yeah, there's a whole bunch of acronyms. Have been doing things as well. Amanda, take it away.
Oh, yay. Okay, so biggest news out there is Boston won the cup last night. They no, that's who I wanted to win.
I wanted Minnesota. I don't like Boston. I am sorry.
Who are you rooting for, Devin?
When I was watching the Pride, it was like third period. Pride were up like 3-1 or something like that. But I had to say Boston because I think Alyssa Gallardi, didn't she play for the Pride, or it was one of the Boston teams?
She did, yeah.
I'll say them. Yeah, she was the one person I knew in the league, so I'll say the for Alyssa.
Well, that's where my love for the Boston Pride came from, because Alyssa played for them. So they were always kind of my side team. Everybody knows the Ribs are my main team. But they weren't. Yeah, they weren't in it, so I had to go for Boston. But I liked it because right before the pandemic, they got to the very last game. It was the final, and it got canceled because of the pandemic. And it was Minnesota and Boston. So it was kind of cool that it came back to the same people. You know, they had to stop the finals twice because of COVID. But so they finally made it. They got the cup, and I think it was amazing. And Minnesota's a tough team. They've got some major players on there. So, and you know, not that Boston doesn't, because they do too, but you know, that they did a great job. And that was very exciting for me.
So the NWHL grew. They had the Toronto Six, so their first Canadian team. But
they got
not the only Canadian team now.
Next season.
Amanda, Montreal. Is there a name yet?
They love you.
I haven't heard a name yet. I have not heard her name yet.
Okay, let's
announced a couple days ago.
So here's what we're gonna do right now. We're all gonna come up with a name for the new Montreal team, and we're gonna start with Zach.
Bye.
I don't know.
Devin, you too. You're gonna come up with one too.
No.
So we want those gears rolling. So Zach, hit us. What do you got?
I'm trying to think French.
It's got to be something French. The baguettes.
I was gonna say croissant. I was gonna say croissants, but I'm like, no, they would never do that.
What's 7 in French?
Well, I mean, you know what? What is
Wheat.
7? Is it?
What is it?
Wait, no, it's set.
Set.
Wheat's 8.
The Montreal set.
Yeah.
They're probably listening in right now, like, write that down. What do you got, Devin?
The first thought is kind of bad, but I just thought Expos, like the baseball team. But I was talking with some of my friends yesterday, and they were asking what the H is in the middle of the Canadiens logo. So I was telling them it's for Habs, or like the Habitants. So I was like, maybe you could do the Montreal Habitants or something like that. But obviously the same exact thing as the Canadiens. So.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
And I kind of like how
True.
the Toronto Six it's sleek, it's sexy. But where can we go with Montreal?
You could do the Montreal French. Just be blunt. Just be Montreal French.
Well, is there a word for women? What was the word for women in French? Is there like?
I don't know. It feels kind of
mademoiselle. No.
Femme. The femme. I don't know.
Hey,
I took French in college and I'm blanking.
What's the history of teams in Montreal? Well, there's no history because it started with the Habs, and they've always been the Habs, so it's hard.
Yeah.
I've always liked the teams with the alliteration. So if it was like another M word for their mascot or for whatever their team name would be, it'd be the Montreal something with an M. So I can't really think of anything, but I guess it might have
Mademoiselles?
something like that. I
don't know.
The mastodons. That'd be a neat idea right there, because there's mastodon bones found out in Quebec. So
yeah, I don't think that would go. No.
Mastodons are pretty beastly animals, so there you go.
But you know, the other reason that this game was so significant is it was on national TV.
Yes,
it was on NBCSN.
One of 3.
And I couldn't watch the Canes game because I'm out of town, but I did get to watch the women's game because it was on national TV. So that's pretty significant because it got to such a big audience. And I hope that, it really did show people that there are professional women players out there. There's a professional league that people don't even know about.
Yeah. We didn't get the John Forsland call that we wanted, but it was still good.
Yeah. But it was great because, it was an all-female officiating staff. It was an all-female broadcasting staff. The Zamboni driver was a female.
You okay there?
Photographers. Sorry.
It would have been weird if you said, wait, is that David Ayers?
No. But it was just so cool.
Where did they play, Amanda?
They were at Boston. They played in Boston. The original, at first it was Lake Placid, but then they moved to Boston. So the home team won, which was even cooler. And the captain is from Boston. Come on.
Boston are they going to do a parade? They should do a parade.
They should.
Even if it's a small kind of like no large crowds, kind of COVID kind of restricted kind of parade, they should, to
be honest, it might be the only championship that town's going to get for a while.
Oh, you just
hey, I'm being realistic here. Did you see the billboard that the Dodgers bought outside of Fenway? Yikes. They basically said, hey, thank you for trading us Mookie Betts 2 years ago. We got a championship.
Well, that's what is that, cricket?
Right, I don't know what you're talking about.
I only know hockey.
But then what kind of pettiness is that? Like, you cannot tell me that you looked at that and were like, Boston's won a lot. This is coming to them. Look at what happened with the Patriots. They're just downright.
Did they even make the playoffs? I don't even remember.
No, they didn't even make the playoffs. And now Boston's still good, but their time is coming.
Well, the women's team is the only Boston team I can cheer for. So.
Legally, yes. The same here.
And
morally.
We won't go Celtics. We won't go there.
What team is that? What sport do they play? Cricket?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's this thing called basketball. I think it's new.
Yeah, I think it's new.
Clearly, it's like Devin's like, you guys in North Carolina, and you guys don't know basketball. What's wrong with you? It's March Madness right now.
Yeah, I'm terrible at basketball. I feel like somebody came out this recently. I've always had the hypothesis that every single hockey player is terrible at basketball, and
except for Trevor Van Riemsdyk.
Yeah, he dunked.
He dunked on the ice, so
right. That's skill.
Granted, the hoop was like 2 feet off the ground, but a dunk's a dunk.
And he didn't fall over.
Well, some people were holding it. So.
Almost fell over when he dunked it on the ice for one of the storm surges. That was a close call.
That was true.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk other teams. Now we kind of talked North Carolina. There's not really a lot of minor league action happening in hockey in North Carolina, but the Hurricanes do have a connection to another minor league team, the Chicago Wolves. So we're going from Wolfpack to Wolves.
This works for both. Hey, it works for both this episode.
We're going from Wolfpack to Wolves. Have you been catching any Wolves action there, Devin?
No, like I said, I don't get to catch much hockey. When I do, it's just a little bit of the Canes, but I have seen the Canes Twitter account reposting stuff about whether it's Seth Jarvis. I know Morgan Geekie had a big week. He got called up and was playing.
Yeah, he went down for 2 games, put up 4 goals. They're like, all right, come back. Yeah,
you can. That's when you probably be either on the taxi squad or playing in the game. So I really love him as a player. Nice to see.
Get this, Devin. Get this. For the 14th time this season, the Wolves have scored more than 6 goals in a game.
By the way, they've only played 14 games.
I'm pretty sure it's 14, but they put out a tweet this morning saying like they've had a ton of games with more than 6 goals. And I'm like, oh crud. Yeah, we have good prospects, but then you have to think we're sharing this team with Nashville.
Yeah.
And here's another thing: Seth Jarvis is off the team now. He has to go to the WHL because that's the kind of the NHL WHL agreement, which I don't agree with. I think that's not really good.
But he's in Portland. He's in Portland. He's not that far away.
It's true, but I mean, you can't take the kid who's lighting up the league underneath the AHL and put him in with a bunch of 17-year-old kids at the WHL. It doesn't make sense to me.
He's gonna look like Gretzky.
I mean, yeah, you're putting a behemoth. How's that even like good for? I guess they're trying to sell tickets, but
yeah, the key with that is the fact that they're trying. I think it's an AHL agreement. If they're 18 or whatever, they can come and play at the NHL level, obviously, and then they keep them for like 9 games, so they don't have to burn a year of their entry level contract. But the key there is there's so many guys in the AHL who are between the ages of 21 and probably 26 that
there's a couple of 30-year-olds out there too.
Yeah, you need that veteran presence, but I don't think they want all the junior kids stepping up and taking those spots away from the guys who are 21 and over. So that's why you hear like the thing, like all the CHL leagues, whether it's OHL, WHL, the Q, they're all 20-year-old leagues per se. So yeah, it's just the AHL preventing too many prospects and too many young guys coming and taking spots away from guys who are old enough to play in the AHL, not quite good enough to play in the NHL, but obviously can't go back to junior themselves.
Yeah, which is why like Martin H has spent a couple years in Europe before jumping over to the Checkers, and then now he's crushing it. We'll talk about him. I promise we'll talk about the month of Martin here.
Fun fact before we do, that same rule that Devin just mentioned is the exact same reason why we don't have to protect Martin Nietzsche in the expansion draft, because he's still on his entry-level contract.
It's true. It's true. And again, we'll get into all that, but the Wolves right now are 11-2 and 0-1. So they have 2 regulation losses and a single overtime loss. They went to a shootout. Puts them second in the league in point percentage, and of course they're leading their division. It's a little weird. The divisions aren't really stacked well. I mean, the Atlantic only has 3 teams. The Central, where the Wolves are at, has 6 teams, and then like the North Division has 7. It's all weird. There's like,
and then they have 3 or 4 teams opt out of the season, including the Charlotte Checkers.
Yeah. So it's an up and down kind of question mark. Good news is Hurricanes prospects will get a chance to get some playoff action, and I think that goes a long way, right? Because you saw Martin Nietzsche's compete for the Calder Cup, and now he's bringing that same compete with him to the Carolina Hurricanes. Having playoff success in your developmental years goes a long way towards having that mentality of that winning mentality into your NHL years. I mean, when you don't see playoffs for a long time, especially when you're developing, or even when you're not, even when you're at the NHL level, it does something to you. Look at Jeff Skinner.
Just look at Buffalo in general.
Oh my God! I mean, but Jeff Skinner, he won the Calder in his rookie season, and he went from the Hurricanes to the Sabres, and he was drafted in what, 2006? He hasn't played a single playoff game since. He has not played a playoff game in 15 years.
I don't know how to respond to that, because it's just that sad. He's
it's
such
sad.
a good player, but because he went from one team that had at the time the longest playoff drought to the other team, it's just sad to think about it. And then you look at the situation with the Hurricanes, where under Ron Francis as the GM, he built the pipeline the Canes have, and then Don Waddell just kept adding better and better prospects, and that's how the Charlotte Checkers won Calder Cup 2 years ago. They're still the defending champions, and then hopefully the Chicago Wolves will win the Calder Cup. So the Calder Cup goes from one team that was affiliated with the Hurricanes to the other team that were both in the same finals when the Charlotte Checkers won.
I mean, success begets success, and Devin will tell you all about that. And how, I mean, we talked about it earlier, right? When you guys went to the Nationals, and how you guys saw some success, and that that give you guys a winning mentality to continue doing that. And that's at a club hockey level. So you can only imagine what it's like at the AHL, NHL level, and these kids. I mean, let's talk about the Canes, right? Because the Canes have had guys hurt for a long time, right? They've had when they began that win streak after the 2 losses to Tampa, they lost Vincent Trocheck. I mean, Mrazek was already out. Jake Gardner,
Teravainen.
And Teravainen. So you have 4 of your really big names go out, and since then they only have missed out on 4 points in 3 losses.
It should have been 3. We got kind of messed up against Columbus.
I'm not going to talk about that Columbus game where we
won and yet we didn't.
We won in regulation and then we didn't, and then we won in overtime and then we didn't, and then they won in a shootout. So things happen. Okay, Tampa thinks they should have won yesterday's game. I don't know where did they get that notion. They're saying that Svech flopped. I don't ever think of Svechnikov as a guy who flops. He just doesn't have that. I mean, he doesn't get calls. Like, he gets punched in the face by 2 players behind the net and there's no call. He doesn't think he gets called. So why would he flop? This is a kid who has nothing in his head that says the referees are out looking out for him, and he gets a call. And then Tampa fans are like, well, he flopped. Well,
but that's what happens when you win. When you win, the fans make excuses when they lose.
Well, ever since the Tim Peel incident, let's talk about that for a quick second, right?
Oh, no.
Yes. Well, Devin, how do you think about that? You
actually been on the ice myself for this one.
Devin, you've been on the ice for...
Let him go. Like, we're Canes fans. He's been our nemesis for God knows how long.
I'm not sad about that loss at all.
But we got to remember, he's technically not fired.
If he's been let go, he was going to retire after the season. Anyways.
Right, they probably gave him an early retirement.
Which is good. Like, he was with the league for the longest time. He did his duty. Let him earn his pension.
Okay,
but,
I want to hear it from Devin.
Oh my goodness. That is one of the things you do not say on a live mic. Like, we know that there's such thing as called makeup calls. We know they exist. They shouldn't exist, but it's one of those things that you should never talk about as a ref.
Devin. Now that Zach's done. Devin.
Right.
You've been on the ice officiating. You've heard kind of how some officials talk. Tell us, from your perspective, these makeup calls, these sort of thing, right? I know it's not the same in club hockey as it is in the professional leagues, but you saw that happen on Twitter. I'm 100% sure you're just as well informed as anyone else on the incident. What did you think?
Well, just based on my personal experience, there's a few refs in this area who I have a personal rivalry against. There's a few guys who I never like to see when they put on those orange bands, but it has to happen sometimes. But in terms of the incident, I think
you don't have to name names, just cough and say something.
No. I mean, I won't be getting them as referees anymore, but I can't let that happen for the rest of my guys who are still going to be here in the future. But I think just in the incident itself, the one perspective I heard was from Elliot Friedman, and he was talking about how it kind of you can make hockey kind of look bad in terms of the integrity of the game, in terms of sports betting in the future. I know that's been a very big topic with hockey as of late, and all professional sports for that matter. So when you hear that on a hot mic and you work at a betting company or any of those companies, and you hear that, it kind of, the integrity of the game kind of wavers. So it makes it tougher when trying to convince people that sports betting and pro sports will be good or good for the sport or even appropriate. But I think, I mean, you hear stuff like that with, I forget the ref who kind of was in trouble with NBA years and years ago, who was accused of like throwing games. I feel like his name started with like a G or a D.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about. He got arrested and thrown in jail because of it.
Yeah. So what he was saying was like the NBA would contact them before and they'd be like, hey, you guys need to be tighter with either like this player, this team, or like pay attention more to these calls on this night. So, I mean, I guess that can always happen with the NHL as well, whether that's like the face-off violations or equipment violations for that matter. But I think for this incident, I don't know if there's necessarily a vendetta against, was it Nashville or who was the team?
It was Nashville, Detroit.
Yeah. I mean, you have to call a game as even as you can. And obviously there are makeup calls. It's the nature of the game, but to do it from the very start and carry it over from game to game, I think would be inappropriate. Short answer, long. I thought it was inappropriate for the situation. I don't know necessarily if firing him was the correct answer. Obviously, that's up to interpretation for everybody's perspective. But I didn't know. I was not aware he was going to be retiring next season anyway. So I guess his retirement was probably not as happy as he thought it would be, and he's being forced into retirement a little sooner than he would have hoped. But that happens to every NHL player for the most part, or hockey player, I would think, for the most part. So not terribly different.
Yeah. So let's put the officiating incident off to the side, because that's what it is. It's an incident.
It's an incident.
He just happened to get caught. It happens. But interesting, right? Is that Money Puck decided to put they did some research into calls. They looked at, like, I can't tell you how many hundreds of games, and they found out that you can, within a reasonable amount, predict the next penalty on which team, depending on who's the home team and the score of the game.
Interesting.
So they found out that you can, within reasonable percentage, actually predict the next penalty on which team. And they actually have it on their daily their game charts as you track game percentage, chances of winning and everything based on goals. They put in a chance the home team gets the next penalty being on the home team, or the next penalty being on the away team, based on the score and how much time is left in the game. It's an interesting kind of research thing, but then again, you can also, is it attributed to the officiating, or is it attributed to desperate play leading to lack of discipline? Is it here? Is it there? It's kind of an interesting kind of, maybe some research into the psychology of hockey players. You willing to step in, Devin, and so we can analyze and I'm kidding.
But I mean, yeah, there's a lot of gray area when it comes to hockey, because it's a fast-paced game. If we were like football and it's one play per 50 seconds, it'd be a lot easier to do these kinds of analysis and that kind of thing. But when it's a constant play, there's things that are going to get missed and calls that are going to get made that shouldn't have been made. That's hockey. We are fans. Our job is to complain. Players play.
So let's talk about the Hurricanes as a whole, as a season, right? Because they've been really good, especially this month, right? So the month of March has been really good to this team. They are currently the number one team in point percentage. They're the number 2 or number 3 now that the Capitals have kind of gone off the deep end and blown the Rangers out of the water. I'll look that
Again.
up here. The East is interesting, right? Because
It's
have
the group
Buffalo.
of death. It's what it is.
The Flyers are. I mean, it's yeah.
After look at the Flyers from last year versus this year. It's like night and day.
Yeah. So the Capitals did win, so they're at 50 points. The Hurricanes are at 49. But the Hurricanes do have a game in hand on them and Tampa. So that game, but they do get 2 days off. So, and then they take on Chicago. Here's kind of, I know everyone wants to talk about Natchez, and we will, but how is Alexander Nedeljkovic? He's been outstanding. He's exactly the player we thought he would be when we interviewed him last season.
Yep.
We had a great time. So if you wanna hear that conversation, check us out. I think the episode's called Red Ned Redemption. So
Red Ned Redemption.
So
we have great title names.
We do. We'll get one for you, Devin. Don't worry about it.
How long have we been talking about Ned? How long have I been saying?
Yes.
He deserves the spot. He can do it. He can. But for some reason, they were just not given.
So he got
shot,
thrust into the role. Him and Anton
Yep.
Forsberg last season. They just kept going back and forth. He never really found his game last season. He's found it this year. Oh my God, has he found it this year?
And heck, even Anton found the spot in Ottawa.
Yeah, so I don't know what was happening last year. I guess when you get a lot of hurt defensemen, you bring in 2 new guys who really haven't gotten kind of found their pace, and Brady Shea and then Vatanen, and then you look at a couple of the guys who came up last year. Wasn't really big on those names. This year, the Canes have found their defensive and goaltending pace. Really, 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 really good play. Even James Reimer, who after letting in 2 easy soft goals in the beginning last night, held the net, only letting 1 more in, and then the Martinez show hit the road.
Oh, definitely. But it really makes the Canes think now that all 3 of these goalies are free agents at the end of the season, so it makes them do a double take of, okay, Mrazek's going to be back soon. Reimer is still here. Ned is on fire. What do you do? And in my mind, and I know people are probably going to yell at me for this because why not? I say trade Reimer at the deadline.
Absolutely. And I think Don Waddell is of the same mind. The only problem when it comes to trading Reimer is finding a spot for him, because he's on an expiring deal. It is not a cheap deal. He is the highest paid goaltender for the Carolina Hurricanes right now. Teams will want the Hurricanes to retain some salary. That'll be a tough thing to do, right? What do you get back? And are we just trading him to just get him off our books? Or
I would say try to get some prospects out of it, but you should not be asking.
But he's a rental. So it's hard to get something.
You don't ask for something high. You just be like, oh, we'll get this random person and a couple of 3rd or 4th round.
No. You won't be able to get that much. Honestly, you're looking at. And that's
deadlines in 2 weeks.
I know. I'm just saying that a lot of the teams who would want a goalie for just 1 season, that list isn't long. You're looking at playoff teams or playoff contenders who either have hurt goalies or have guys who are worse than Reimer, and that list isn't long. In fact, I would say it's like 1 or maybe 2 teams. That's it. Now that your buyers are like that thin, you can't ask for a lot, especially if you're trying to get rid of the whole contract. I would say, honestly, Reimer for a 5th.
And then eat some of the contract?
No, that would be the whole contract. If you want some retained salary, that you maybe throw in another pick. But you're not going to get, I don't think you're going to get a real prospect out of it. Honestly, but the question might be
interesting 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, oh, we should go get Eric Stahl, and he ends up in Montreal.
Yeah, so Eric Stahl did go to Montreal for what, 5th rounder? 3rd and the 5th, I think. I believe so,
much. But it puzzles me because I'm like, he goes from Buffalo, where he never really fit the system and still had a decent year, to Montreal, which makes me go, huh?
He went for a 3rd and a 5th with 50% retained. I mean, that's a great deal
for a veteran player, but
you only pay 1.6.
I'm sorry, Montreal. Just watch it happen. I'm making this prediction right now. Watch Montreal, because of the way that division works in Canada, not make the playoffs.
I don't know. There are only 7 teams, and 4 of them are making the playoffs. It's really hard to consider that you have Ottawa on there, who is absolutely not making the playoffs. There's really 4 out of 6 teams fighting to make the playoffs there. I mean, let's look at the standings here real quick on in the North, and you're looking at Montreal's in a playoff spot with 2 points and 5 games in hand on Calgary. It's hard to think that Montreal won't make the playoffs. It's tough. I mean, especially with Ottawa being in that same division, and 4 out of the 7 are going to make it. I mean, they're sitting pretty. They just got Eric Stahl. I would think that Montreal makes the playoffs. Will they go very far? No.
But they are in the same situation as Dallas is, where they're going to play a lot of games in very little time. Yeah, it's going to do damage. They're going to get players hurt. It's going to be a long haul. It's going to be a marathon, especially for Dallas. They missed so much time I think I saw on Twitter they're playing 28 games in 40 days or something like that. That is going to be miserable. And I mean, Devin, you played these back-to-back games. You played weird schedules. That has to do damage.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, the college life's easy playing back-to-back a Friday, Saturday game. I think we've played like between 30 and actually probably 20, between 25 and 35 games in a season before. But to do that over and over and over again, like my hip flexors, my legs are tired after a 2-game weekend, 3-game weekend. So to do that for a full season, obviously these guys are in great shape and they're well conditioned, but that'd be brutal, especially when you're hunting for a playoff spot and trying to play catch up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that they're playing the Hurricanes 4 times.
Yeah, fairly top heavy division. Yeah, so
it's going to be an interesting it's going to be an interesting race for in the month of April, and half of March to see kind of who gets in, who doesn't. So kind of that leaves the question: do the Hurricanes make a move? I mean, Rod Brindamore did say, "Hey, we're going to get back Trocheck, you're going to get back Mrazek, and we're going to get back Gardner." Now, hey, that's as good as any trade, right? You get 3 really good players back. But that said, honestly, Teravainen is going to be a hard question whether he comes back or not. He hasn't skated in a while. Trocheck has been seen with the team without the non-contact jersey. I would say that he might be in the lineup against Chicago. We'll see. But
on national television.
On national TV. Oh yeah, that is the national game.
The only one this year, right?
It is. Somehow it is.
Actually, I'm looking at the ESPN schedule right now, and they're saying that not only is the 30th game on national television, so it's the 1st, the 4th, the 26th.
So they're not going to be on Fox? I'm confused.
That's what it's showing. It could be wrong.
We'll see.
I don't know, but I'm like, hey, more national coverage.
Well, the Hurricanes absolutely deserve it. I mean, you're talking about the number 1 team in the league right now. How do you number 1 power play team? They're coming up on the kill. I mean, they're killing it on every side. The best point percentage. You can't just ignore this team. I get it. It's not in your favorite hockey market. Boo hoo. This is how you grow markets.
The NBC will constantly do Rangers versus Devils or Capitals versus Boston, or
it'll be like the Rangers and Buffalo, and you're like, why am I watching this?
Like I remember last year the Flyers were on national television like 20 times in one season.
All right, so maybe it's a numbers thing. They're like, hey, there's only like 10 million people in all of North Carolina, but they're like about 20 million in New York City. So I don't know what the hell they're thinking.
Speaking of national television, hockey's back on ESPN.
Have we not
Hockey's
covered this?
Back on ESPN.
Have we not covered this? Yeah, so
I don't think we have.
So here's the greatest thing about hockey coming back to ESPN.
The theme.
Well, yeah, sure, the theme. But I'm talking about, let's be real here. If you're watching out of market games and you have ESPN Plus, guess what? It's the same as having NHL TV next year. So no matter where you are,
Amanda, you'll be able to watch
Canes games as long as you have ESPN Plus, which is a lot cheaper than NHL TV for some reason. Although they might price hike that.
But my gosh, the price tag. The price tag that they're getting is so worth it. They're getting $600 million a year. That's that
Disney Marvel money, man. That is Marvel Star Wars money.
That is double the current NBC contract, and it's only for half. It's only for half. Watch NBC get the other half, and the NHL could possibly getting $1 billion a year in TV revenue. How much would that help the league?
I mean, that's going to go a long way towards a lot of things. Hopefully, it goes a long way towards helping
maybe creating a bigger NWHL.
That's what I was about to say. Helping women's hockey grow as well, allowing kind of a lot of these team owners to say, "Hey, you know what? We could afford to support women's hockey. Let's get some more games played in these arenas." I would love to see a North Carolina women's hockey team come out of there. There's plenty of opportunity and plenty of players who would love nothing more than to spend their weekends playing for a North Carolina team.
Put them in
There's some really
Greensboro.
good female players here.
Yes, there is. The travel
Alyssa.
part. The travel part will be a little difficult to kind of sustain. But if you kind of, I mean, think about it this way: if this model of this year's NHL plays out, where kind of the small divisions only play each other and then they meet in the playoffs, why can't the NWHL start with something like that to kind of cut down on the travel costs for these ladies? Let them play each other locally, just kind of almost like a bus league locally, just for the regular season, and then let them take wherever their second jobs are. Hopefully, they get paid what they deserve to get paid.
A bus league. Where does that sound familiar?
Well,
Oh yeah, the Thunderbirds, who are
Are they
also
playing this year?
They are playing, but they aren't playing any home games, which is really sad. So, no, the only game being played in Winston-Salem was Devin.
It's just Devin. He's playing
Devin,
all
you
these
are lucky.
positions.
Just Devin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just Devin on the ice, and he's playing the whole game. And
Well,
I
listen,
promise
if they
it's more
keep-
exciting than a lot of things out there.
If they
Like
keep
soccer.
adding teams to the NWHL, they'll be able to break into divisions.
Yeah.
And really, it would help because they've got all of their teams on the Northeast, and then there's Minnesota. So, I mean, it would really help
Come on, Detroit.
in general to
There's-
have more teams.
Hopefully, as this economy gets back on its feet after the COVID pandemic and
All that jazz.
the world of hockey grows, we can see a lot more of all this come out. Okay, people have waited long enough. Let's talk about Martin Necas.
Oh boy, the Marty train, the Marty Party 2.
Okay, this entire month it should be renamed from March to Martin Necas, because he's been rolling in
March team. Yeah.
March team.
March team.
Do we rename April as Dougie month?
We'll see. We gotta figure out what happens in April. Then we'll talk about it. Kid is on fire. I mean, he absolutely owns Tampa Bay Lightning right now after last night's 4-point game. He's really growing into his role. He knows. God, it's incredible to just watch him with the puck and just dance around everyone. And then he did a little NASCAR spin last night where he went around everybody for like 2 laps.
Fox Sports
Literally, it
did a
was
tweet
2
with
laps.
the NASCAR soundtrack in the background. It was
2 laps. He did 2 laps around the entire offensive zone in like 30 seconds. It was not even like 10 seconds. It was incredible to watch him. No one can keep up with him. Just a little bit better puck handling, and this kid is going to be unstoppable. He's just going to walk it into the net, and no one's going to be able to stop him.
Now, remember this from earlier this season and earlier in the offseason. People wanted us to trade for Patrick Laine
and
have Martin Necas in that trade.
Why?
And I put this on our Twitter, and I said, for that price, because people were saying for Brett Pesce and Martin Necas, I said months ago that it was not worth it. People were calling me crazy because they're like, oh, Patrick Laine, I have been vindicated.
Well,
that's how I feel about Ned. I've been vindicated.
Yeah, she's been vindicated. Omar, it's your turn. Pick something.
I mean, you guys already know that. I've been on the Dougie train for a while. I don't know how to.
That's all 3, right?
Yeah,
there.
right. It's already been vindicated. 14 games straight. That's the longest point streak in the NHL this season, overtaking Austin Matthews
in the Hurricanes' history.
Yeah, franchise history.
Keep him.
Yeah, I mean, Dougie, look, the very table talks to at the end of the season that a good deal is going to happen for him. Andrei Svechnikov is going to get a good deal.
Fetch money.
Well, I think Fetch is going to get the bridge deal, right? Because he's not going to feel like he did well this season, and he hasn't been doing that great stats wise. He's been there, but he's struggling to finish, and
it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
He's still there.
Yeah, he's still there. So he's gonna want a bridge deal to kind of maybe let me prove myself for real that I've earned whatever money that I think I've earned. So he's gonna get a bridge deal. Dougie Hamlin's gonna get a long-term deal, and probably be his final NHL deal.
And both, hopefully, Ned and Peter both. I would say
I'm not sure about Peter, but I know Ned. Here's the thing: I think Ned might even earn himself the starting position for the Carolina Hurricanes.
We'll see. I think he'll definitely stick around, though.
Yeah. Either way, he's gonna be a Hurricane next season. He's gonna get the games needed to make sure he remains.
He better stick around. I have a stick over here, and I'm like, I need him to sign it. I don't have his signature on it. I need
So
it.
I'm not a numbers person, and you were talking about earlier about how expensive Reimer is. Would that free up the space if we got rid of Reimer or sold or however it works?
Depends on what Ned
Would
gets.
that free up the space for not only Ned, but like would it free up enough space for Dougie?
Well, here's what's gonna happen. Let's look at the numbers for the Carolina Hurricanes. I'll tell you exactly who's dropping off, because the Hurricanes are gonna get a lot of cap space in the funniest ways.
We also got to remember who's going to be taken in the expansion draft.
No. So before you do get in that, next year will be the first season that since whatever years ago that the Carolina Hurricanes are not paying Alexander Semin any money.
Oh my god.
That's
such a waste of a contract.
Million that are coming off the books. Okay, we can relax.
And we don't. Was this the last year we paid Marlowe, or was that last year?
No, that was last year. So Marlowe it isn't getting any money this year. And same thing with Justin Falk. His money came off the books.
Thank you, St. Louis, for that.
So here's another thing, right? Cedric Paquette. Will they re-sign him? Will they not? I'm not sure how much money he's earned, but his deal is 1.6. Jordan Martinook is at 2. Brock McGinn is at 2. Warren Fogle, he's going to be an RFA, but I'm struggling to see.
He's been struggling.
Yeah, the reason why he should hang around, and he got 2.1 after going to arbitration last season. So it's like you went into arbitration, you did all this, and now you're not showing up, kid.
Maybe if we let go of Fogle, maybe that opens up a spot for. You're Jarvis.
You've got Jarvis is going to be on an ELC anyway, so we're not really worried about paying him a lot. So Dougie Hamilton and Andrei Svechnikov, they're the big money names. Really,
Ahu's got long term. Tavo's got long term.
I mean, the other UFAs are Mrazek. I'm not saying that Reimer's going to be on here next season because he won't. And then you got the small fish, right? You know Max McCormick, Morgan Geekie.
Morgan's gonna probably get a new contract, so.
Well, yeah, but it won't be a lot. He's still.
Same with Steven. Like those two.
Jake Bean's gonna get a small. Maybe he might even get a pay raise, but I'm not sure how much that's really gonna go. But anyway, so the money part, I am not too concerned about the Carolina Hurricanes cap space and how much money they're gonna have to pay Dougie and Svetch.
Plus, we're actually paying the cap limit for once, so.
We're gonna play, yeah, and the cap space. I'm not sure it's gonna grow. I doubt it will. There's no plans on it growing.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a flat cap like this year, which is what screwed over so many teams. And I'm like, well, good.
Which is what I was gonna say. Svetch gets a bridge deal. Dougie gets an actual a long-term contract. What do you think, Devin? You've been quiet for a bit, and I want to hear your take on all this.
I feel like Dougie's had a lot of success in Carolina. I think he likes the fans and he likes playing for the team. I think they'll offer him a pretty good deal. I've heard he wants something along the lines of maybe Justin Falk's deal or maybe Pietrangelo. I don't know.
I'm okay with Pietrangelo, not Falks, but Falks is a bit too much.
Yeah, I think it was something like Krug's, like 7.7x7, something like that maybe. I think he's a defenseman you want to keep around, especially with Carolina moving some of their prospect defensemen other places like to Florida. I think Svetch, that was an interesting point you made about with it being a bridge deal. I notice him regardless of how many points he puts up. He's always hitting. He's doing something. He's Rod's type of player. I think either way, the Canes have to keep him for a long time. He's a proven player. He's a franchise player.
He's synonymous with Carolina Hurricanes right now.
Yeah.
Devin, you did mention one person that we still have to pay that we haven't mentioned.
Who's that?
We still need to get Rod a new contract.
I think they're in talks right now.
If we don't, something is seriously wrong.
I was thinking earlier today, if Rod ever gets fired or ever leaves, like, I wouldn't want him to go coach anywhere else, but
we all know where he would go. We all know he would go to Seattle.
Oh, Seattle. Okay. Yeah.
Seattle's just gonna rob us of everything.
Speaking of that, Devin, what do you think about the Seattle Kraken at their logo, their team? I think it looks nice.
Yeah, love the jerseys, love everything about it. Obviously, it's nice to see Ron Francis get another shot at getting his fingerprints on a team, especially a team starting up. I'm sure he's excited with how Vegas has played out recently. I'm sure he's itching to get that team going and see if they can have some success early. Happy for John Forsland to get a contract out there. It'll be nice to be hearing him on NBC, but he'll be back with Ron doing the play-by-play up in Seattle there. So I'm sure he signed a nice contract. He's happy to be up there, and it was nice to see.
Well, Devin, thank you so much for joining us. I think we've gone a little long. This is probably going to be one of our longest episodes.
It was a good episode.
No regrets at all.
No.
But as always, thank you.
Quickly tell the listeners how they can follow NC State and yourself on social platforms.
Yeah, well, I just want to say sorry for all my long-winded answers. Keeping it going.
No, we love it.
No, it's good. It's good.
We are famous for our rants.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go to icepackhockey.com and donate if you'd like. If not, just following along, supporting the team, following us on social media at NC State Hockey or Ice Pack Hockey in our various locations would be awesome. Just fans watching the games, giving us love and support over social media, getting in contact with us in any way would be awesome. So thank you for having me on and giving me a platform to kind of get our name out there and ask for some help getting up to Bismarck, North Dakota.
Yeah. Congrats on making the nationals. That's amazing.
It's going to be fun. Go see some Buffalo. I hear they're nice.
Yeah, not much to do in Bismarck, but I think we're going to go see the largest bison statue either in the world or in the United States. So that's something.
Are there bison anywhere else in the world, let alone a statue?
I mean, North Dakota State, they're the bison. So, hey, you can go catch one of their football games.
Yeah, maybe so.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. You make sure to follow us on social media. We're at Revolution R on Twitter, Revolution Rampage on Instagram. Check us out on YouTube if you're listening in your car or whatever. We do have this same episode on video on YouTube. Look at Devin's very handsome face. And he's blushing right now, so you get to see that too. But no, so make sure you follow us on all the platforms. Check our website out at revolutionrampage.com. And it's been awesome. So thank you very much. This has been Revolution Rampage. I'm Omar.
I'm Zach.
Amanda.
And we've had Devin with us today. And yeah, until next time.
Go Canes.